I have done it and now can hear.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I can confirm that our streaming and our recording is on, and the meeting is yours.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Morning, Council, senior staff, residents. I see that we do indeed have quorum for this morning's meeting, so I call it into session. This regular council meeting for Wednesday, August the 5th at 9:01 a.m. And at first, I ask all those that can to please stand for the national anthem. Very good, thank you. Next on the agenda is the reading of the land acknowledgement, and this week I have the pleasure of doing so. Town of Pelham is situated on treaty land, steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island live and work in Niagara. Town of Pelham stands in solidarity with all Indigenous peoples, past and present, acknowledging that our high standard of living is a result of the resources and lasting friendship of Indigenous peoples. Thank you. To Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have our first presentation being presented by Fire Chief Bob Limburner.
Okay, Mr. Limburner, please.
Good morning, to you, Mr. Mayor. Not really a presentation, this is just an acknowledgement. On July the 31st of this year, our longest standing firefighter, Captain Terry Beckett, retired from the Pelham Fire Department after more than 45 years of service. Captain Beckett is a very humble person. He really didn't want any fanfare. He didn't want to attend. He's kind of turned down our offers of celebrating, and he just would rather stick to his own. So I'd really just publicly like to acknowledge and thank him for all his contributions. 45 years in anything, doing anything, is quite an accomplishment, and we're going to miss him. He's been around a long time. He's done a lot of training. He's contributed. He's engaged. He contributes to the association. He's part of some of the committees here in council, our sustainable committee with Councillor Hildebrand. So he's quite engaged in the community, but like I said, he's very humble, and I'd just publicly like to acknowledge 45 years of service.
Wow, so that is, as you said, it's an incredible record, 45 years of community to the service. Council, I think we'll show our appreciation in the usual way. Very humbling when you have a service like that in any part of the town staff, and of course the training that the firefighters have to go through and what have you. Not only will you fellows miss him, obviously the residents are going to miss his spot on the crew too. Although I'm sure that your training has already got the spot filled with an eager recruit, no doubt. Excellent, thank you. To the clerk.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. That brings us to the approval of the agenda, and I have a motion put forth by Councillor Wink, seconded by Councillor Hildebrandt. Be it resolved that the agenda for the August 5th, 2026 regular meeting of council be adopted as circulated. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. After viewing the agenda, does any council member have any questions? I don't see any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion carries.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. That does bring us to the disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof.
After viewing the agenda, does any council member have a pecuniary interest to declare? Councillor Hildebrand.
Thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Mayor. With regards to item number 2.5 and 2.6 of the in-camera session, with regards to the proposed holding company structure for NPI and the unsolicited offer from the city of Niagara Falls,
Continue going.
the nature of my pecuniary interest is multiple governance roles and access to confidential information through those roles, made in accordance with previous advice of the Town of Pelham's Integrity Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. To the clerk.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. That does bring us to our hearings and presentations. We do have our first presentation for Ms. Tegan Brown for her life-saving measures. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. So again, Council, we have a great story, a great person in front of us today. And it's my honor as mayor to be able to celebrate the best of our community. And today it is my pleasure to recognize a young woman who went above and beyond in her role as a lifeguard, Tegan Brown. On July 3rd, 2026, Tegan provided life-saving actions while working as a lifeguard at Bristol's Hideaway Resort, pulling a young boy out of the water and treating him until Niagara EMS arrived. Tegan, you made Pelham proud. Your outstanding performance and quick response in this moment of crisis make you deserving of the highest levels of recognition and the deepest gratitude from our community. And I'm going to go off script here. It just goes to show that just like a firefighter goes through all kinds of training, Tegan, I know that the lifesavers or the lifeguards, you go through all kinds of training so that when a situation like this comes forward and you find yourself at the top of right there at the crisis, I just take it that the training kicks in and it just becomes thankfully automatic on your part. As a small thank you for your exemplary valor and service as a lifeguard, we would like to present you with a certificate recognition for your life-saving measures. Yep, so we'll just come to the front of the horseshoe, please. And again, a quick hello to the proud parents and sisters. Megan, I forgot to get to shake the hands of you. Good. Town staff, Town of Pelham, we wish to present you with the certificate.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for being there and doing the job. And the pair of socks.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any words you just to say?
I just want to thank everyone so much for honoring me here today. I really wasn't. me, I was just doing my job, so. Thank you so much, and thank you to those over there that day. You guys really helped me, so thank you.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you.
Tegan? Thank God you were.
Pardon? Oops.
Oh.
Next year.
I don't know if that was a promotion or a demotion, but.
I turn to the clerk.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. We do have the, yes, thank you. We do have a presentation in honor of Tegan as well from the EMS fire, chief, and she will be receiving the district chief's coin.
Excellent. Yep.
So, Tegan, congratulations. You know, I was just listening to you say, I just did my job. And those are heroes, because we just do our jobs, right?
Yeah.
But on behalf of Niagara EMS, I'm honored to extend our deepest appreciation, sincere commendation for your exceptional actions in responding to this medical emergency. They're often complex and emotionally charged, as you can see. Throughout the incident, you demonstrated remarkable composure, confidence and skill, a commitment to your training, and your unwavering dedication to protecting the lives of others, reflect the very best qualities of those who serve you. While emergency responders are frequently recognized for their effort, it's important to acknowledge that the chain of survival often begins before paramedics arrive. People like Tegan. Your intervention was a vital link in that chain and serves as a powerful reminder of the profound impact a well-trained and committed lifeguard can have in saving lives. Please accept this letter as a testament to our gratitude for your outstanding service and extraordinary commitment to public safety. You're welcome. Do that. And this is our challenge.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes.
So again, we just want to thank the Tegan and her family for showing up today to give us the chance to show our appreciation for our local hero. Thank you.
Thank you.
To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to our next presentation, and this is the Net Zero Communities Accelerator Program and Community Climate Change Mitigation Plan update. Oh, my apologies. There is one more presentation for Ms. Brown.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Council, Brown family, Chief Swinburne. For those that don't know us, my name is Ben Gutenberg. I'm the District Chief of Pelham Fire Department Station on Pot Hill. To my left, I have District Chief Adam Arbor from Pelham Station 2, and unfortunately, District Chief Waldeck from Short Hills Station Number 3 is not available to be with us today. Tegan, as you know, we responded to the call back in July, early July, where your actions truly exemplify you as a hero. The district chiefs, about 10 years ago, wanted to award all the firefighters in Fontville. And the way we did that was we issue all our firefighters a challenge coin. This is a challenge coin I carry every day. Firefighters are awarded this coin upon completion of their probation or upon promotion. And the history of the challenge coin goes way back to early World War I, where the commander of a squadron of fighter pilots wanted to award his members for his pilots for exemplary work that they did. He presented them with a gold medallion with the squadron emblem on it. Story goes that during the war, one of their pilots got shot down behind enemy lines. Was stripped of all his belongings, but was allowed to keep one thing. He kept his challenge coin. He escaped from the enemy, managed to get back across lines, only to be confronted by his allies. And the only way he could prove who he was with that challenge coin. Challenge coins are earned, and it's a true sign of respect and gratitude. So we have the 2 challenge coins as district chiefs. We actually have a third, and you'll be the third person to receive one today. The challenge coin for exemplary service. On behalf of the district chiefs and the Pelham Fire Department and Chief Limburger, thank you very, very much.
I can have all of our presenters come take
You were impressed. You were.
Anybody else want to?
Take care. Take care.
Thank you.
Well, Madam Clerk, now we get to the boring stuff.
Yes, that's right, Mr. Mayor. You're correct.
Yeah.
To you, Mr. Mayor, so we do.
Wait. I do want to, at the indulgence of council, I do want to make a couple of comments about the storm that the region went through on Sunday night. First, I'll tell a personal story. At the farm, we had 7 inches of rain in 14 hours. So it was, I saw water on the move that I've never seen anywhere in Pelham like that before. And one of the things was my son was working at his job at Canadian Border Services. And when he came home at 10:30, he could only get within a half mile of the farmhouse that we live in. So we had to, he told me on his, phoned me up on his cell phone, said, "Dad, I can't get any closer than where I am." So we had to fire up a farm tractor and go get him. And my wife, being the curious person she is, she had to come with me. So we, going down the road, luckily it was a fair-sized tractor with a cab on it, because we went to water, and we were pushing water with the front axle of the tractor. So in places it was 2 feet deep. And the only reason we knew we were on the road was because, of course, we haven't clipped the weeds, we'll call it the vegetation on the side of the road. So I knew that as long as I had vegetation on my left and vegetation on my right, I was on the road. And it was an unreal experience, because as far as you could see on both sides of the road was water. It was like driving through a 100-acre lake. So picked up my son, turned around and came back, and luckily we made the trip uneventful other than that. And the great thing was that from our standpoint of view, our standpoint was that the next morning, 99% of that water had come and gone. Unfortunately, of course, that wasn't the way it was with the residents in St. Catharines and Lincoln. I just want to express to those to the residents of those communities, on behalf of all of Pelham residents, and definitely on behalf of this council, that we feel your pain, and we sympathize with what you're going through. To have that kind of thing happen to them 2 weeks or twice within a week, it just boggles the mind. and Mr. CAO, you were on a conference call. Some of those people have in fact had to leave their homes, and I believe they're staying at a community building in Niagara Falls. Any comment on that?
Yes, well, Mr. Smith and I attended a meeting of most of the municipal, the administrative leaders in Niagara, and discussing how we can help each other. And certainly the plight was even more dire than I had understood through media reporting. There are there were thousands of displaced people. They're at hundreds still who are sleeping in community centers. And in fact, St. Catharines doesn't have enough. So people in the McBain Center in Niagara Falls, for instance, had to be relocated there. The demand is exceptional. There are hundreds of basement apartments that are completely ruined. So in fact, the storm is having a disproportionate impact on people with fewer means. The regional staff for over Red Cross is running out of its money set aside for this purpose. There's the province is getting involved, but slowly, and it's all hands on deck. So certainly we were there to see what, if anything, was needed, and to the extent that we can be helpful to our neighbors, we shall be.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you. I just wanted to mention that, like I say, it was a storm of a century, because the road that was flooded in front of my house, I have never seen that road flooded before. And that night at 10:30, it had probably 18 inches of water on it. So it was indeed if not a 100-year storm, it was at least a 70-year storm. I turn to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That does bring us to our staff presentation. This is with respect to the Net Zero Communities Accelerator Program and Community Climate Change Mitigation Plan Update. And Mr. Adam Kelly, who is our environmental coordinator, will be doing that presentation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kelly, you have the floor. Thanks for joining council this morning.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for making those comments about the town of Lincoln and the storms going on in St. Catharines there too. Anecdotally, from what I've seen in the rain graphs, it's greater than a 100-year storm even. So I believe it when you say that you've never seen it flood like that. It was something for sure. So without further ado, I think I'll begin. So hello, everyone. My name is Adam Kelly, and I am here to tell you guys a little bit about our progress through the Net Zero Communities Accelerator Program and just a general update on our community climate change mitigation plan. So before we begin, I think it's very important that we have a firm understanding of what is climate change mitigation and how it's different from climate change adaptation. And that's especially prevalent today after the week that we just had, because they're two different fronts on which you can fight climate change, so it's important that we understand the difference. So if I could rewrite this slide after the storms, I would a little bit, but essentially mitigation actions, and that's what we're here to talk about today, are actions that reduce the total amount of greenhouse gases released into the atmosphere, which mitigates the total extent of climate change that can occur. Adaptation actions are what we would do to make those impacts less impactful, if you would. So improving our ability to manage stormwater, that's an adaptation action. Reducing the amount of emissions we release, that's a mitigation action. So that quote there, mitigation actions help avoid the unmanageable, whilst adaptation actions help manage the unavoidable. That's the quote that I'd like to use to remember the difference between the two. So those are two important strategies that we're working on to fight climate change here in Pelham. So a bit of a project background. So we've worked with Canadian nonprofit Quest Canada, and specifically their Net Zero Communities Accelerator program over the past year or so to develop some background research to build towards what we're calling our Community Climate Change Mitigation Plan. So there were a couple key deliverables as part of this program. So what we got from this program is a community-wide greenhouse gas emissions inventory, a benchmark assessment report, as well as a summary from a workshop that a couple folks participated in back in April. And so you may be asking, why is Pelham doing mitigation planning? So some of the benefits of mitigation planning are energy efficiency increases, reducing the extent of climate change, increasing energy sovereignty and resilience, as well as having cleaner air through less pollution due to less direct combustion of energy sources. And so there's also a couple policies in the 2026 adopted official plan that you can see there that really directly speak to the need for mitigation planning, which is why we're conducting these exercises. And so the most important one, 3.4.6.7, if you can remember that one, is that the town will develop and implement policies and other strategies in order to support the following energy conservation objectives, such as energy conservation, protecting air quality, including reducing emissions. So, what is community climate change mitigation, and why is the word community in front of this string of words, and how does that really fit in with everything else? So, this is a very lovely graphic that I'm going to work you guys through here real quick. So, from top to bottom, you can see at the top we have mitigation planning, and at the bottom, you have adaptation planning. And so this framework, all in all, shows all of the plans that we're going to be using in Pelham in order to reduce the impact that climate change has on the community and the corporation. So the goal of climate change planning is to make it so that we can continue to live our lives and not be impacted by it. So, like I said, we have mitigation on the top, that's what we're talking about today. And so you'll see a corporate mitigation plan on the left and a community mitigation plan on the right. And so today we're going to be talking about the community mitigation plan. And so then we also have the adaptation plans, which you guys are a bit more familiar with since the adaptation plan's been around since 2021. And so from left to right on this diagram, you can see the responsibility of action items being implemented by the corporation versus action items being implemented by the broader community. So that is the point of separating this out from left to right. So you can see that when all in all, putting it all together, you can see that we are talking today about actions that the community can take to mitigate the impacts of climate change through reducing their emissions. So that's the focus of this plan. There's a reason why there's 4. This diagram kind of helps to explain it. It's tough to explain in 5 minutes, and we'll get into it a little bit more. There's the full report, of course, as well. But today's focus is what we got out of the NCA program, what the community climate change mitigation plan will be, and why we're doing it. So without further ado, I'm just going to go over some of the deliverables from the NCA program. So like I mentioned, we have this greenhouse gas emissions inventory with the baseline year of 2023. And so what this shows is essentially we got a bunch of data to the consultants of how much energy is being used across town, across a bunch of different sectors, and from a bunch of different sources. So you have your residential, commercial, transportation, and your waste management sectors, and then you're looking at the sources of that energy as natural gas, gasoline, electricity, diesel, and emissions associated with waste processing. And so from that, we got a community inventory of the total amount of tons of CO2 equivalent emissions, which is the standard unit that folks use to measure greenhouse gas emissions, as well as emissions per capita. And so to put it into context with some of the other communities, we actually have a really low emissions per capita, and that's largely due to the fact that we don't have an industrial sector really in town, and a lot of our agriculturally focused economy is inherently lower emissions. Doesn't mean we're out of the woods and that we're climate saints, definitely not, but it does show that because of the way the community is constructed, we have resulted in having a lower emissions footprint per capita. If you look at what's causing that emission footprint, you can see this is actually the cost of energy. You can see that the largest cost of energy in town is gasoline by far. That's where we're spending the most amount of our money, and that's, as a reminder, that's community-wide. So we're not focused on the corporation. This is a scan of the entire community. So just for the sake of time, I'll kind of breeze through this, but one of the other outputs we got from the NCA program is kind of like a report card that shows how we're doing across 10 indicators related to community capacity as well as our energy systems. And so again, to put that into context, we're doing middle of the pack compared to some of the other municipalities that were part of the NCA program. And lastly, we got an emissions planning recommendation report. And so you can see that that was an exercise we did a couple months ago where we strategized, had some big maps out, and we kind of workshopped what we could be doing around town to improve energy efficiency and reduce the emissions that we're producing. And so we got a report summarizing all of the things that were brought up during that meeting. So I know that this was really quick, and I'm sorry if I've gone over my time, but the conclusion essentially is that based off of the extensive work done so far, the necessity of continuing to work to address the climate crisis and improve energy efficiency, and Council's previous support to pursue this program in the first place, as well as to support the policies within the official plan. Staff are seeking for Council to accept the report for information and reaffirm their commitment for staff to utilize the information and data produced through the NCA program to produce a community climate change mitigation plan. So I'm sorry that that was so much. It's a big topic and there's lots to discuss. The report is all there, and I think the report will be up for questions and comments later. So I'll be sticking around to answer any further questions and dive into these details a little bit further. But I think that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you sit down, let's do any questions to our presenter at this stage. I will point out, if I may, that hopefully when we revisit in a year, and as we speak, everyone in this room realizes that we are indeed installing the solar panels on the MCC, and they will have quite a change in our electrical usage. Any comments on that? On that progress or that event that will lower our emissions?
Yeah, absolutely. So through the mayor, putting in solar panels on the MCC is a wonderful first step at reducing the amount of emissions that that facility will be outputting. The scale of the climate crisis is a bit frightening, to be quite honest, because we're putting in these massive solar panels and they're going to offset the emissions of that one building. But there's a lot of buildings in town. There's a lot of buildings that the corporation has in its portfolio and the community runs and all. So I'm really excited and I'm really happy that Pelham is putting its best foot forward and leading by example by putting those solar panels on that building. I think that's a really good first step and super important. And it's important that we continue to learn from that and then kind of foreplay that into like some more progress, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a great point, because it's one thing to see the projections, but when we actually see that happen and it comes back to us in budget and we can see the savings, well, then hopefully that will continue to spur us on. And as you say, there's other buildings in the town, and after we see how these are hopefully saving us and improving our emission standings, perhaps we will indeed look at other avenues. So before we get to the report, any other questions or comments? If not, then thank you for your. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Hildebrand.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I have a lot of questions and comments, but I'm going to wait till the staff report comes.
Yep.
Because it'll take an extended period of time. I want to make sure Adam gets a chance to answer very complex questions on this subject. Thank you.
Okay. So in the meantime, Adam, you can study your books.
Yeah, I'll hit the notes here.
Okay.
Thanks for now, though.
Okay. Again, thank you for your presentation. Okay. To the clerk.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I do have a motion put forth by Councillor Bernarski, seconded by Councillor Eckhart. Be it resolved that Council receive the presentation from Adam Kelly, Environmental Coordinator, with respect to the Net Zero Community Accelerated Program and Community Climate Change Mitigation Plan update for information. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Not seen any. The report will be discussed later in the agenda. Call a vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That does bring us to our delegations. And our first delegation is the Community Land Trust of Niagara, building affordable housing in Niagara. And the presenter is John Armstrong. And I would just remind the presenter that there is a 5-minute time limit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong, for joining us this morning. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. My name's John Armstrong, and I'm here with the Community Land Trust of Niagara, and we welcome the opportunity to present to you and tell you a little bit about the Niagara Community Land Trust and what community land trusts are, what their role is, and what their purpose is for the community. So what is a community land trust? Oh, can I just move that so I can see it? It's according to the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, it's a nonprofit corporation that was created to acquire land and hold it as part of the community in perpetuity. Our focus is on community housing, building. What we really are is we're a non-market, nonprofit housing developer. That's what our purpose is to be non-market housing. We keep it affordable, we build it, we acquire it, and we maintain that affordability, and we maintain that ownership to ensure that affordability in perpetuity. There are about 47, actually I think there are about 50 of them now, the land trusts across Canada. We work with governments, community groups and developers, financial institutions, as well as any other stakeholders and community housing organizations to do the building and to do the acquiring and to do the operating of the housing that we work on. And it's interesting to note that community land trusts are moving across the country right now for about the last half a dozen years or so. They're really becoming a new piece of social infrastructure that communities are using to deal with the affordability housing crisis for the lower end of the socioeconomic ladder. So I remember back when the community foundation, the Niagara Community Foundation, was being set up, and actually very similar to what's happening now with Land Trust. Community foundations were working their way across the country, and they were being added as an important key piece of community infrastructure. And Niagara was one that set one up. If for those who recall, it was two $100,000 gifts that created the Niagara Community Foundation, and they just celebrated their 25th anniversary, and they now have $100 million in assets. So our goal with the land trust as a non-market housing developer and owner is to replicate that model where we just continually build and acquire assets in the community on the housing side, maintain that affordability, and build and maintain that housing stock. So why now? I think we all know that we've got a severe affordability crisis. Particularly at the lower end, and quite frankly, in order to make the numbers work to build affordable housing, to be able to keep rents down, you can't do it alone. We can't do it alone. Governments can't do it alone. We all have to work together on this to contribute to get those costs down. And that's why we were set up, and that's why we were created. And we're also created not only to get the house or the affordability down for new builds, but also in acquisitions to prevent rent evictions as well, to maintain that affordable housing stock that currently is in place. Although rent prices have gone down a little bit over the last year, I think we all remember 22 to 24 when rents were escalating significantly, just like all housing costs were, and all costs were going up significantly. And when you see what those numbers look like, things were unaffordable before. Tag in an additional 15%, and you can really realize what the problem is and why we were created. Although Pelham's not on this list, I like to show this slide just because it talks about the wait times for households for affordable housing. These are for the actually more deeply affordable housing, the one that are on the Niagara Regional Housing list. But when we were doing our research to create the land trust, and we were chatting with Niagara Regional Housing, for example, they said to us, if you're going to build housing, don't build the deeply affordable stuff. We have a lot of that housing actually available. The problem is we have a lot of residents who actually their circumstances have changed and they don't need the deeply affordable housing stock that they're currently in, but there's no place for them to go. So if you're going to be building some housing, build that place where you give them a place to go. So that's what we're doing. But the thing that I think is interesting about this quick slide is, I mean, you look at those numbers. Look at Port Colborne, for example, for a two-bedroom apartment. The wait list is 9 years. Like, what does that mean? That's a made-up number. Like that's baloney. The person who's at the 9 years, they're never getting a place. Right? They're never getting a place. That's just there to put a number on it. But it does certainly highlight what the problem is and what the job is that we have to do. Just quickly about us. I've talked about our vision and our mission, so I can go past there. We put together a really great blue chip group of people. I'm joined today by Lori Beach, who's the executive director of Second Story Community Homes and Services, formerly Bethlehem Housing. She's our vice chair. Caleb Ratzlav's a councillor from St. Catharines is our chair. We have Sarah's from the Ontario Federation of Indigenous Friendship Centres. We got a tax accountant. We have a senior planner. We have a real estate leader who does complex deals from Infrastructure Ontario. We've got very senior legal counsel as well. We have a real estate developer. We have Cindy Laforte is a realtor, but she's also a longtime community advocate. She's been the chair of Habitat for Humanity, and I actually sat on a committee with Cindy when we built an affordable housing project on Oakdale Avenue and with the YWCA. And then Joanne Harritz is also a professor of political science who's very interested in housing. So again, I talked about just quickly, I talked about our goals. We build, we protect, and then we work with other housing providers to operate. So the Land Trust doesn't actually want to operate the housing. We just want to build it, move on, create that asset, be able to leverage that asset so we can then become a self-sustaining organization over the course of time. But we work with community housing operators in order to operate that housing. Organizations like Second Story. Talked about how what we need. We can't do it alone. So our goal is to get donations, gifts of land. Obviously capitalize on as many government programs as we can get. The Equity Collaborative one is particularly interesting that we're working on. There's millions of dollars in unleveraged assets in the not-for-profit and charitable sector. So we're working on with Meridian Credit Union on how we can leverage those unleveraged assets, bring them as equity into the land trust to build more housing. Obviously rents, community bonds as well, and social impact in investments are another way. I'll just really quickly go over our first project. We've got a first project. It's 43 units in Welland. Combined, the Second Story also has a sister property right next door or adjacent to it with 43 units. We can the sale of the land for the property for the city of Welland sold us the piece of land for $3. Second Stories is leased for $1. Welland doesn't normally sell land like this. They normally lease land for affordable housing, but they've agreed to the sale because they understand the value and the opportunity that we have with the land trust, building and acquiring and accumulating assets in order to become self-sustainable. So you can see there's a big list of partners to work on this project. Rankin is particularly is our construction partner who's really been fantastic. As well, the Niagara Community Foundation has also supported us with very significant impact investment for this project as well. So don't have to tell everybody about the ripple effects of housing, but that's just, we wanted to bring to your attention what the Community Land Trust of Niagara is, and how it can potentially work for the town of Pelham as you're working on your housing issues and your housing and your housing efforts. So with that, I thank you.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. A lot of questions before I open it to council. So I always pictured land trust happening in the country, in the countryside, rural areas. Someone doesn't have any kids, they want to donate 30 acres, what have you. So would you are you involved in that kind of land trust also? Because that would give you a portfolio, you would have that piece of land to mortgage against, I take it. But most of the land, I take it, is you want to be, would be within the urban boundary so you can build on it, just like you did in Welland.
That's correct. We're not part of we're not a conservancy model. I know that there's a piece of property in Pelham that I think it's just before you go down in the, you know where that is.
Yes, yeah, in Lathrop, I believe.
Yeah. No, we're specifically focused on housing and building and maintaining affordable housing.
Okay, and one last question before I open it up to the council. So when the Welland sells you that land, and you said you don't want to be caught up in the operating, but will that land deed stay in your name for forever?
Correct.
Okay, I see. So you're the owners, and okay.
Yeah, we're the owners.
Okay, I appreciate that. Council, after the presentation, any questions to the presenter? Not seeing any. Thank you for your time. And the assets that they have after 25 years, up to 100 million. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Now, is that mostly donations, or is
That's for the community foundation?
Yes.
Those are donations, and I've done work with the community foundation, but I'm not representing
Yeah.
the community foundation. But
No.
but they that's setting up endowments. So they community foundation takes donations, either directed funds or undirected funds, and they create endowments. So you give $25,000, and then a portion of that, like 3% of that $25,000, has to be dispersed every year.
Yep.
And then that then builds the asset base over time.
Okay.
So
excellent.
you create you build the asset base, you create the endowments, and then over time that endowment gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're able to give away and donate more and more money to community groups and community agencies.
Excellent.
The Land Trust has a similar concept of being able to build the assets and build the housing and maintain ownership over time, and then be able to leverage those assets to continually build and have a self-sustained model.
Excellent. Did you, one last, how many units are like the Welland one, I believe you said the units. How many units throughout the region would be under your control?
This is our first project.
Oh, this is it.
Yeah, this is our first project. We've only been around for a couple of years, maybe 2.5 years.
Okay,
So this is our first project, and you can see there's a lot of heavy lifting that's required. Housing is very difficult and challenging to build, and then to do it in a way that you can maintain affordability. It's a big challenge. So this is our first project.
Excellent. Probably a good time to be doing it, because unfortunately with the rest of the economy kind of being flat, I'm hoping that you're getting good pricing on your building to can do that.
Rankin's a tremendous partner, and we're doing very well with Rankin for sure. The challenge, of course, is that because there isn't a lot of housing being built residentially, natural partners for the land trust would be developers, because they would understand the model. You talk to them about the model, and they say, "Yep, that's how you do it."
Yes.
But the problem is, because they're not doing as much building, they don't have as much to donate to projects as they do when they're doing a lot of building. So identifying additional donors and others in the community that are interested in affordable housing and understand the value and the importance of that is something that we're doing. And that's what we're out talking to municipalities about as well.
Well, the best of luck on your first project, and let's hope that leads the way for many others.
Thank you very much.
Any, one last time, Council? I don't see any questions or comments. Thank you for presenting to Council this morning.
Thank you.
And like I say, the best of luck. Okay, thank you. To
Thank
the
you.
clerk.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I have a motion put forth by Councillor Kerr, seconded by Councillor Niznik. Be it resolved that Council receive Community Land Trust of Niagara Building Affordability Housing in Niagara presentation for information. To you, Mr. Mayor, for discussion.
Okay, thank you. One last time, Council, any comments or questions? Not seeing any, call the vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion carries. Again, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to our next delegation, and this is Jesse My Love Foundation, and our presenter is Rain Laurent Eugene. This is the founder and the CEO, and she is joining us today on our live stream.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. And you have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor Duncan and Council. My name is Rain Laurent Eugene, and I am the founder and CEO of the Just My Love Foundation. I appreciate the opportunity to introduce the foundation and share the long-term housing model we are developing, recognizing that the foundation remains in early planning and relationship building stages. Today, I'd like to briefly introduce the foundation, tell you why I approached the town of Pelham, and share why I believe our long-term objectives complement several of the town's strategic priorities. Before discussing the foundation itself, though, I would like to begin with discussing Pelham. Next slide, please. One of the reasons I reached out to the city of Pelham is because the town has demonstrated a clear commitment to planning for its future. The commitment is reflected through Pelham's planning framework. The town's strategic plan identifies community development and growth as one of its core strategic priorities, describing the challenge as achieving measured growth while protecting the quality of life that residents already enjoy. The 2025 strategic plan update builds on that work by identifying continued implementation of the city plan and the South Fonthill secondary plans and as active community development and growth priorities. Pelham has also demonstrated a long-standing commitment to community revitalization. Since 2009, the town has maintained a community improvement plan for downtown Fonthill and downtown Fenwick, establishing a framework of 7 incentives programs designed to encourage building improvements, residential intensification, public art, and private sector investment. What stood out to me wasn't simply that Pelham is planning for growth. It's how the town talks about growth. Pelham's mission is to be a caring, active, and sustainable community, while its vision is to promote an exceptional quality of life by valuing its people, their experiences, and the environment. Those priorities resonate with the goals of the Just My Love Foundation. Our model is built on the belief that long-term housing stability, meaningful employment, education, and community participation are all intertwined, and that communities become stronger when those supports are intentionally designed to work together. The foundation is not here to replace or duplicate the important work already happening in Pelham. Rather, I hope to demonstrate how our model could complement the direction the town has already established. Next slide, please. Pelham has established a thoughtful planning framework, and I want to acknowledge that. At the same time, the data reminds us that housing instability remains a regional challenge. According to the 2021 census, approximately 440 people in Pelham report Indigenous identity, while approximately 135 people report Black identity. Those communities are among those that the Just My Love Foundation is being developed to serve. Across Niagara, the 2024 Niagara Count Survey identified 701 people who are experiencing homelessness. These numbers remind us that housing instability is not confined to one municipality. People move across municipal boundaries for housing, employment, education, healthcare, and family support. The challenges that we are sorry. The challenges that we are discussing today are regional, even though the solutions begin locally. Pelham recognized part of this broader responsibility when Council added Indigenous recognition and collaboration as new strategic priority in the 2025 Strategic Plan update. At the federal level, Canada's 2024 to 2028 anti-racism strategy explicitly recognizes anti-Black racism and systemic discrimination and identifies housing and employment among the systems where racial inequalities must be addressed. What I find encouraging is that the need is increasingly being recognized at both municipal and federal levels. Where I believe there is an opportunity in how we respond. By existing services are designed to help people through immediate services. The Jesse My Love Foundation is being designed to help families after crisis by creating a structured pathway toward long-term stability through housing, education, employment, and community participation. But the gap is not in recognizing that people are in need. The gap is in the length and structure of the response. Next slide, please. The Just My Love Foundation was created to address the gap that often exists between immediate crisis response and long-term independence. The Foundation's proposed three-year model brings together stable housing, childcare, education, employment preparation, and community support within one coordinated system. Housing is the starting point and not the end goal. Stable housing creates conditions for people to participate in education, develop practical skills, pursue employment opportunities, and begin planning for long-term independence. Our social enterprise provides stipend-supported training that allows participants to gain practical experience while contributing to meaningful work. Over time, we intend to establish partnerships with post-secondary institutions and training providers so participants can work towards recognized certification alongside documented work experience and professional references. What makes the model different is not any single program. It's the way in which each element reinforces the other. Housing supports education. Education supports employment. Employment supports financial stability. Childcare supports participation in both education and work. Rather than functioning as separate services, these components are intentionally connected to create a pathway towards long-term independence. The goal is not to simply help families recover from instability. It is to help them build a stable future they can sustain long after they leave the foundation. Next slide, please. One of the things that encouraged me most about Pelham was how closely several of the foundation's intended incomes reflect priorities of the town has already identified. The first is the community development and growth. Pelham's strategic plan describes the central challenge as achieving measurable growth while protecting the quality of life residentials already enjoy. The Just My Love Foundation shares that long-term perspective by combining housing stability, education, employment, and childcare within one coordinated model designed to strengthen families and communities over time. The second area is enhancing capacity and future readiness. In the 2025 strategic plan update, Pelham and added Indigenous recognition and collaboration as a strategic action plan. Because the foundation is being developed specifically to serve Black and Indigenous women and their families, I believe there is a meaningful connection between that priority and the community we hope to support. The third is Pelham's mission and vision. Pelham describes the mission as being a caring, active, and sustainable community. Its vision is to promote exceptional quality of life while valuing its people, their experiences, and the environment. Those statements reflect many of the same values shaped by the Just My Love Foundation. Our model is built on the belief that stable housing is only one part of the long-term stability. Our programming will contribute to the quality of life where families are able to rebuild, and sustain. What encourages me is not that the foundation is trying to replicate the town's work. It is that many of the outcomes we hope to achieve are consistent with priorities and values Pelham has already articulated. That gives me the confidence that this conversation begins from a place of shared objectives. Next slide, please. Before reaching out to Pelham, I began speaking with municipalities across Niagara to introduce the foundation, understand local priorities, and gather feedback on the model. One of those conversations was with the City of Thornhold. Following my presentation during a delegation, Thornhold City Council formally declared in support of the housing model I presented. The resolution stated that the City Council declares in support of the supportive housing model as presented by Rain Laurent-Eugène, founder, CEO, and chair of the Just My Love Foundation. That declaration was meaningful because it showed that a neighboring Niagara municipality was willing to formally recognize the foundation's alignment and value. As more municipalities become aware of this model, those declarations can help demonstrate regional interest and strengthen the foundation's credibility in future conversations with funders, granting bodies, and institutional partners. Next slide, please. My request to council today has two parts. The first, I'm asking the town of Pelham to provide a letter of support for the Just My Love Foundation and the long-term housing model I presented today. It will strengthen our credibility as we continue approaching funders, the Niagara region, granting bodies, community organizations, and institutional partners. Second, I am asking for introductions to relevant town staff whose work may connect with the foundation's future planning and relationship building. At this stage, these introductions would be exploratory. I am not asking staff to approve a project, identify land, commit funding, or enter in a formal partnership as of today, right now. The purpose would simply be to help the foundation understand Pelham's local priorities, municipality processes, and areas where future conversations may be appropriate. The foundation remains in early planning stage, so any future requests involving property, planning approvals, funding, or formal collaboration would come back through proper processes as a separate matter. What I'm asking for today is municipality recognition and an opportunity to continue this conversation with the appropriate people. Next slide, please. Thank you, Mayor and the Council, for your time and consideration. I appreciate the opportunity to introduce Just My Love Foundation, explain our long-term housing model we're developing, and share why I believe there is meaningful alignment with Pelham priorities and our values. I appreciate your consideration for our two requests, a letter of support and an introduction to relevant staff members. Thank you again for this opportunity, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Before we open the council, I will turn to the CAO. Definitely seems like your requests are well within our boundaries, and you've obviously done your homework studying our Pelham's past, and looking forward to working in the future with your organization. Mr. CAO, any comments on the request?
Well, those are certainly two things that are well within your power and scope with respect to introductions to the relevant staff. Every single one of them happened to be in this room and happened to have heard that presentation. So that's an easy check mark. Those people have all heard what they need to hear and can reach out. The other piece is an item of council business, and if it's the will of council, Thorold did support this, and I think we're the second municipality in Niagara to be approached. Then certainly that's entirely possible, and you're all aware of how to bring motions. So that's, but that's not an administrative function. So those are the two items before you. Happy to provide further service if so required. I think Madam Clerk's quite capable of appropriate wording.
Okay, thank you. Before we move on to that step, I'll open up the council. Any questions or comments to the presentation we've just received? No, Councilor Nesnick.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for your presentation. So certainly you've brought forward a mission, or you're on a mission to support women of Indigenous and color. So thank you for that. Just wondering what, if any, have you been successful in creating any of these, or you're just getting your feet wet and underway. So just wondering if any communities have actually, if you've ever actually created anything, and what's your business plan towards that?
Right now, we are in pre-development, so we haven't actually created one of our sites yet. We want to grow with whatever municipality we decide to situate ourselves. So this is why we're reaching out to have those conversations about how can we best, with our model, support what you already have and not compete, but complement. So that's why I'm here today.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other questions or comments? I will turn to the clerk as to if a motion.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I do have a motion being put forth by Councillor Hildebrandt, seconded by Councillor Bernarski. Be it resolved that Council receive the delegation from Jesse My Love Foundation for information. As Mr. CO indicated, should Council wish to support and have a letter, an amendment would be needed, and I do have language for that if that is something Council is interested in. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Is there a council member that would like to put forward a motion on a letter of support? I see Deputy Mayor Eckert.
Yes, I would make that motion for that amendment.
Okay, thank you. And is there a seconder to the motion? Kevin, Councillor Kerr, you will second that motion? Okay, thank you, sir. Motion.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. Just for clarity, I'd like to read it into the record for Council's consideration.
Yep.
So the amendment is being put forth by Councillor Eckert and seconded by Councillor Kerr. And the amendment would be that the motion be amended to include, and that the town of Pelham declares its support for the supportive housing model as presented by Rain Laurent Eugene, founder, CEO, and chair of Jesse My Love Foundation, and that Council directs staff to prepare a letter of support for the mayor's signature. To you, Mr. Mayor, for discussion.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Eckert, that's agreeable?
Very acceptable, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Kerr, you concur? Thank you. Any discussion on the motion before us? Councillor Hildebrandt.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, housing is a very complex subject, and I'm not sure, without a more in-depth review, whether it be prepared to support this motion at the present time. It sounds really good. I agree with it in context, but I don't know enough about all these organizations that are coming for support for housing. I know the Niagara region is looking for support. We've heard from the Community Land Trust looking for a different model for support. If it's just a motion to support without any requirement on our behalf on it, I'm not sure where I stand on that. Thank you.
Okay, to the Madam Clerk, clarify the motion, perhaps?
Thank you. The amendment is to have staff prepare a letter of support similar to what the city of Thorold has done, just stating that Pelham is supportive of the housing model as presented here today, and that would be for the mayor's signature. It's not committing any time, like staff time or resources, just stating that Pelham would support the supportive housing model.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Councillor.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hildebrandt. Councillor Nesnick?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm struggling a little bit with it because certainly the concept is wonderful. I'm just wondering if this is, to put our support behind it at this point is a little premature. We're a small community corporation. We don't have the transportation and we don't have a lot of the other infrastructure that would be required for successful housing in our community, but certainly the concept is worthy. So if you're just looking for us to say we think this is a great idea, but I'm not sure that our community would actually be able to be one of the best choices to put some sort of supportive housing in place due to the other complex issues that we have in terms of lack of public transportation. We don't have we have some shopping, but we don't have great shopping. We would need public transportation to get to education facilities. So just wondering if maybe a larger municipality would be a better focus for your group at this time.
Thank you.
I don't know if you have a comment on that.
So when we would our first initial plan is to do a proof of concept. So it'd be 10 houses. We're not looking to have, the acres upon acres with, 50 to 60 families. We want to try proof of a concept first. Uh, in terms of the education would be in terms of the farming that we were doing, where they would learn trade and they learn about marketing and whatnot, and from there. So we don't need necessarily the biggest town ever. We just need a town with a little vision. And we're asking right now, as we sort of, develop this plan, that we just ask for your support. We're not asking for anything else except for your support and just conversations about how we could make it work if Pelham ends up being the city that we think or that you agree is the best for what we're trying to build right now.
Okay, thank you, Councillor, for those questions. Any other questions, comments before I call the vote on the motion before us? I don't see any hands. I'll call the vote on the motion. All those in favor? And all those opposed? And motion carries. Madam Clerk?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, that does bring us to the main motion as amended. That's receiving for information and for directing the letter of support.
Okay, thank you. Any comments on the motion as amended? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote on the motion as amended. All those in favor? And any opposed? Motion carries.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Again, to the presenter, thank you for bringing this to council's attention, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council, for your support. I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, have a good day. Bye.
You too, bye-bye.
To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have our first item on the agenda, which is a staff report. And we have a motion put forth by Councillor Niznik, seconded by Councillor Wink. Be it resolved that Council receive Report 2026-0167, Planning Net Zero Communities Accelerator Program Summary Resolution to join the Partners for Climate Protection Program and next steps towards a community climate change mitigation plan for information, and that the Town of Pelham's participation in the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, and Local Governments for Sustainability, ICLEI, Canada's Partners for Climate Protection Program, be approved, and that Council reaffirm the directive for staff to produce a community climate change mitigation plan from the documents, data, and deliverables received, co-produced during the town's participation in the Net Zero Communities Accelerator Program. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so thank you, Madam Clerk. Any questions or comments? Councillor Hildebrand.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the presentation we have. I think it provides council with a clear framework for Pelham's participation in the Zero Community Accelerator Program. Your work demonstrates how practical, well-planned initiatives can reduce energy emissions and consumption and supports a more sustainable future for the community. I do have a question coming up, but I'm going to preface it with our comments with regards to what this council has done so that the residents realize that this community and our municipality has been an active member in this program. As we mentioned before, we talked about the solar panels at the MCC, but we also have done the LED light transition. We've done the cold water ice flooding at the Marine Center. We've done the building automation system optimization at the MCC. We've bought EV vehicles. We've got the EV charging stations. And the Utility Sustainability Committee has participated in the Net Zero and Sustainability Design for the new fire hall, the library, the pool, and the town hall addition, all of which have complemented the program that we've initiated. With that being said, the question is, thanks for your presentation. Based on your work with Pelham, what is the top 3 action items council should prioritize over the next 2 to 3 years that will deliver the greatest environmental benefits while also providing measurable savings for taxpayers?
The 3 words or less.
Yes.
That's right. Adam and I met in his boss's office last week to talk about these things, but I didn't ask him that question.
Through the mayor and to Councillor Hildebrandt, that is indeed a good question. And so to preface that, I think that there's two important points. A lot of the great examples of what you've just mentioned, of the things that we're doing here in town, are the examples of the things that we do need to target. And so those things are largely actions that are within the corporation's position to implement. So the corporation is positioned to implement these changes. And so the presentation that I brought forward today is specifically focusing on actions that the community will be positioned to implement, right? And because the corporation's greenhouse gas emissions portfolio, the emissions that we produce annually, is not that much compared to the emissions that are produced by the community at large. So even if we are as sustainable and as environmentally conscious as we can be, we can't forget that we need to be there to support the community in their efforts to reduce their emissions and to improve their energy efficiency and to reduce their costs. And so the point of this planning exercise and of the exercise of planning the corporation's mitigation plan over the next year or so is to figure out what those actions are and how we can reduce emissions at the least cost, essentially. We're looking for what are those items that we can hit to reduce the tons of CO2 equivalent emissions per least dollar spent, essentially. And so that's going to be a large framework that we use when we're analyzing and producing these plans. And so this report is asking for support for the community mitigation plan. And later on in Q3, there will be another report coming in a similar fashion, re-asking for support for the corporate's mitigation plan. So to answer your question in a roundabout fashion, as per usual, would be the best three actions for the corporation to improve environmental, make us more environmentally conscious and more energy efficient. We're going to figure that out in the planning stages over the next year or so, but largely it's all comes down to electrification. The grid emission coefficient, which is really how much greenhouse gases are emitted per kilowatt hour of energy spent in the province of Ontario, is projected to peak in 2027 due to some natural gas energy production that has recently come online, and then it's going to continue to get more green over time, so less emissions per kilowatt hour used. And so as we continue to electrify, that's going to be the largest way that we can reduce emissions specifically. So the short answer is electrification. Yeah. Thank you.
Councillor?
Thank you very much for that analysis. Obviously, you have my total support on this, and I really believe the town has to be the leader, because if we don't lead and do and set an example for our community, I don't think the community will ever follow. And I think our municipality is a leader in this area, and I think even in the region. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Nesnick?
Yes, thank you very much. So I do, in your chart, one of your charts there, the benchmark assessment scores. So transportation, we scored very poorly, 87%, and that's due to the lack of public transportation. So I once again would encourage our representative at the region to voice their concern over the transportation or lack of transportation, public transportation that occurs in Pelham, and look for ways to have, I think we're at the point where we need to have a Pelham loop within Pelham that supports transportation moving through our town and our community on a regular basis, not on demand, not at the whim of a phone call and residents. I think residents are entitled to, we pay a lot for transportation right now. I don't think we're getting the bang for our buck that our Pelham residents deserve. And I really feel that hope that our regional councillors who have some say in transportation continue to advocate for our residents in creating a Pelham loop that can be ongoing. And I think that score would decrease drastically, which would be a great way to move forward in one small area. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Bernarski?
More just a comment. I thank you for the presentation and just appreciate your knowledge and energy that you brought into the presentation. It was great, and I look forward to supporting this and also seeing what comes next. So thank you.
Thank you.
Council, any further comments? Not seeing any. I will, if I may, make one myself. Federal government just had a program, and I'd be interested to know how many, and I have no way how you would ever track that. We at the farm, the Junkins, took advantage of the program. Interest-free loan for $40,000. We're not, of course, on town infrastructure, and so we were on propane. So we had, it's a big farm, a big old farmhouse. We eliminated 2 furnaces, and now we're geothermal. And it's not an unproven science anymore. It's been around for long enough, and it still amazes me that you can get that heat out of the ground and to heat the house, and in the spring and in the summertime, you have air conditioning because you're putting the heat back in the ground. And they actually encourage you to have the air conditioning to put the heat back in the ground. That does amaze me that it works that well. And it would be interesting. I don't know if the federal government pushed it as hard as they should have. It'd be interesting to know how many Pelham residents did in fact take part in that program. It was not only geothermal, but it was also just for the installation of heat pumps that take it out of the air, which aren't quite as, I don't think they're quite as efficient as a geothermal, but whatever. Anything that we can do, as you say, that we can get away from the gas industry is a step in the right direction. So anyway, yeah, it was a great presentation, and I like the electrification is the way it goes, although I guess it reaches a point where, and obviously we're not in the States, some of those electrical generators are indeed coal-fired, so we got to watch that also. In Canada, I believe it's whether it's wind, nuclear, or water generation, hydro. I don't know if we have any coal-fired generators left. I know Alberta was forced to close down many of those with the National Energy Program. Anyway, thank you for your as Councillor said, for your energy in this portfolio, and a great report. And as Councillor Hildebrand has pointed out, we definitely made inroads, and we will continue to do so as the opportunities arise, keeping the taxpayer dollar in focus. Thank you, Adam.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor Junkin. Appreciate it. And yeah, anytime anyone wants to talk about any of this, you guys have my email and my contact. Please reach out. I'm happy to. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I'm just looking for the vote.
Any other questions or comments? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And I see none opposed. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That does bring us to the adoption of our minutes. I do have a motion put forth from Councillor Eckhart, seconded by Councillor Kerr. Be it resolved that the following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read 1C13, 2026, regular council meeting, July 8th, 2026. To you, Mr. Mayor, for discussion.
Okay, thank you. After viewing the minutes, any comments or questions on the minutes? Not seeing any. Call the vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That does bring us to the request to lift any consent agenda items for separate consideration. So if any councillor wishes to lift an item from the consent agenda separately to discuss the resolution separately, that would be the time now.
Okay, thank you. Any consent agenda items that any council member wishes to lift? Not seeing any, Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Hildebrand, seconded by Councillor Eckert. Be it resolved that the consent agenda items as listed on the August 5th, 2026 council agenda be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved. To you, Mr. Mayor, for discussion.
Okay, any further discussion? Deputy Mayor Eckert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe this is when I can ask a question or make a comment.
Yes.
11.2.8. I have a couple of questions. I want the cash in lieu of parking bylaw. So if I'm reading this correctly, and I've read it over a few times, we have pushed long and hard on council about parking requirements, both in subdivisions and in townhouses and condos, et cetera. I'm afraid, I'm worried that this cash in lieu of parking bylaw would enable many developments to circumvent our requirements under our planning directives. And simply by paying a dividend of some sort to the town, they would avoid the required parking, and which then puts these vehicles out on the street. And I'm sure there's some right now that are in the development stage or building stage or application stage that this would affect. So my question would be, I have some real reservations that there's some dangers here in this bylaw, so I'd like somebody to comment on it.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Deputy
Thank you.
Mayor, and we will turn to our Director of Planning, Ms. Dusling.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor. Good question and good comments. So this study, it would include three things: the community benefits charges, the cash in lieu of parking, and then the cash in lieu of parkland. In terms of the cash in lieu of parking study portion of it, it wouldn't provide any relief of what we have currently in our zoning bylaw, so those provisions would all remain as is, and Council or Committee of Adjustment would be the decision body on if any parking relief would be approved through a specific development. What this study would be around is that if there is relief granted from Council or Committee of Adjustment, that there would be a pot of money that developers or a property owner would pay so that we could create community parking, specifically in the downtown perhaps, or in other areas of the community that would be needed. So we do not currently have that in place right now. When relief is sought, it is sought, period. This would allow the municipality to have some funds to do other things with parking. So the relief would not be part of this study.
Deputy Mayor?
Okay, and I understand that today we're not approving this, we're just moving ahead with looking at it, but your answer then caused a couple of other concerns, and that's, we did have an issue not too long ago brought up by my colleague at the far side there about council being very adamant about what we wanted to do in terms of parking, and the Committee of Adjustment granted an adjustment that was contrary to council's direction, let's say, for a better word. So I would be afraid that something like this might never get back to us, and it would be granted again. The other item is we're in the process of building a parking lot with some land that we didn't realize we had at the end of on Station Street at the end of Town Square, and I'm just wondering where we would in the downtown area envision finding this land to build additional municipal parking on, and again. Developers paying a fee, and then we have to try to find a place for this additional parking that's not on the street that then causes us problems in the future. So definitely something we should be looking at, I agree, but I have some reservations about it, and I would look forward to further report and discussion on this, and I would have further comments at that time. So,
Thank you. Mr. CAO, I see you're fiddling with the button.
Well, council is right to be cautious around parking and this issue. We have on various development applications over the years been burned. But this is also really thoughtful leadership from multiple people in our planning department, because it's an arrow in the quiver that we are lacking. And when push comes to shove, you always want more arrows in the quiver rather than to have an empty quiver. That's a piece. This is at the moment a study to help get to the point where we might have more ammunition in the future. This will need to be thoughtfully and carefully put forth. But if you don't have the study, you can't, in the planning world, if you don't have a study, you can't justify, the municipality is almost never allowed to be justified or to defend a position without a study to back it up. If it has the study to back it up, you can all of a sudden put in rules and requirements. And that is where we're actually trying to move ourselves to. This is a relatively weak point for this community. Broadly speaking, the official plan, currently before His Majesty, but just about approved, strong document. Our zoning bylaw, although it's always a work in progress, a strong document. We've done the work over the years. This is something that's been missing, and it's relevant in consideration in particular with high-rise, typically a higher density urban form. Those are decisions in future years, but you want to have this so that absolutely we're not end up holding a bag with nothing. And I first encountered one of these in 2003, and they were used by a very aggressive development community to do the exact sort of things that the deputy mayor identifies. But properly implemented, it's a tool for community benefit. And I mean, when you look back in history, George Bush and Donald Rumsfeld got pilloried for talking about known unknowns and unknown unknowns. We don't think there's other bits of land in the downtown or the urban area that we own and we don't know about. And yet for more than 2 decades, we're at 5 municipalities, and we always seem to come across, we didn't know we owned that. Like you're never able to disprove the fact that we don't own some piece of land we don't know about. Every now and then it's fortuitous. Sometimes it's calamitous, and we've experienced both those things. So we don't know where future parking lots might go, but this is a necessary tool. It is. I'm really happy and proud that staff are bringing this forward, and this is a good time to do the administrative. I'm going to be a third-party consultant helping us from a data perspective and a wording perspective. But this is a good use of the time heading into this part of the election cycle, so that the next council, this is something they're going to have to be thoughtful and clever about and purposeful. But it will be ready spring, late winter, something of that magnitude. And hopefully after a budget and a strategic plan, this will be an important file for the next council. So we're happy with it going forward, but it's absolutely, you are right to be cautious. You are right to look at this closely, and your successors will need to do that too. Because properly executed, it's an amazing arrow in the quiver. Poorly executed, you're in a world of hurt.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. Any additional? Nope, you good? Okay, thank you. Councilor Wink.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just want to echo Deputy Mayor Eckert's comments with respect to parking in town, and one thing you didn't say was parking in the downtown core in the business areas. That's a big concern. A concern that I have is, okay, now we've got a cash in lieu bylaw. So every builder and every developer is going to be looking for ways of getting rid of parking and just paying an extra few bucks so they can put more units on a specific piece of property. So it may be a quiver that we can get some extra money, but is that extra money something that we really want, or do we want proper parking in our community. And I would suggest that we want proper, sufficient parking in our community, not just the ability to take, okay, we've agreed to allow a developer through a minor variance or whatever to get rid of parking, so they're gonna pay us a little bit of money. We don't have land in the downtown core. We don't have additional lands anywhere in town to build further parking lots. So I'm going to say this now. You can do the study, but once the study comes back, if I'm on council in the next term, I'm not giving up on our parking in this town. And I'll be clear on that, and I'll use that as a priority in my campaign. But no, we're not giving up on that. So there's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments or questions on this particular item? And I see Councillor Kerr. Oh, we can't hear you, sir. Oh,
Okay, now can you hear me?
yes, sir.
I guess I'm following in the footsteps of Deputy Mayor and Councillor Wink as well. Parking is the #1 issue across Niagara. I have colleagues in other municipalities in which they're lamenting very seriously the lack of parking after developments, to the point where residents are suggesting that to one another to go park in malls overnight that are private property. It's become that dire a situation. I agree having a quiver looking for money is one thing, but the other, as Councillor Wink has pointed out, where you spend that money if you really don't have space is not, becomes another kind of a silly thing of having a reserve for something that can't be utilized. My bigger concern is the fact, and it was highlighted, that maybe I'm in error in believing this, but Committee of Adjustment, once it approves it, Council can't override a Committee of Adjustment decision. Am I correct in that? That's, I guess, a key question I have, because if we cannot, then functionally it's down to very small number of people who are unelected making that decision about parking on a case-by-case basis, but could have serious ramifications for council.
Mr. CAO on that big question.
Well, it's a bit of an oversimplification, but essentially, if you looked at the world of planning, there are items that statutorily are handled at the staff level of a certain size. The top third is handled by council, decisions made by you on behalf of the community, and the mushy middle is our committees of adjustment, things that shouldn't be done by staff, and Ontario says are below the consideration threshold for council. That's why we create this statutory thing called the Committee of Adjustment, roughly. There's sort of, so staff, middle stuff is Committee of Adjustment, and the top stuff is your prerogatives. This is really a tool that ends up getting used in the world of your prerogatives, of council decisions for much larger things. Now, I say that, and that's essentially true of the current iteration of the Planning Act and the current way planning works, and Ontario's changed that 5 significant times during your term of council. So, but that has been effectively true for the 2+ decades I've had the privilege of working in the municipal world. So I don't think that concept is entirely going away. And as things stand right now, this wouldn't be used a lot there, although it might be informative. Nevertheless, right now, we're not better served by being silent on the issue and not having anything in place. That is not a superior strategy. A superior strategy is getting this data, getting this work done, and then having a really good, thoughtful, policy-driven, we're hearing you very clearly, by the way, you're being abundantly clear, but being able to justify a decision when we have that study. So we're moving in the right direction. There are important decision points next calendar year to be made on this file. So this is not a backdoor mechanism for outcomes that would be unpopular in the community, but it is, it's an arrow that should be in the quiver, frankly, and it either isn't or it's not, doesn't have a sharp point on it. It's not a very effective one for us right now. And that can change and should change, and I'm going to reiterate, I'm really happy with the leadership from the planning department, policy, and administration to say, like, we need to grab this bull by the horns. Ignoring this is not in our best interest. So we really do ultimately want to produce a useful arrow in a quiver. I'll just keep going with that analogy for now, because I'm stuck with it apparently. But you have reason to be concerned. So we'll all keep an eye on this. It'll be an interesting report to read, and probably one. There are some dry, dusty reports a few people read, and there are other reports that really matter and everyone reads. And this is going to be the latter, not the former.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Councilor Kerr?
I guess I'll still come back to my preliminary question, and I'll go back to a zoning application that came up that in theory was going to come to council, and then the developer decided at the last minute that they would go through committee of adjustment. And let's just say it was the pitchforks and the other things were at that committee of adjustment meeting, and the applicant left rather quickly afterwards, but got what they wanted at the committee of adjustment level. So it never did reach council. So this is my query more is about not so much on parking, but the fact as the deputy mayor brought up, if committee adjustment can go against what they're basically the wishes of council, then I guess that's the concern I have is there always a backdoor loop there regardless.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor. I'll go back to Councillor Wink.
So to build upon Councillor Kerr's comments, council does have the right to overturn the committee of adjustment, but how much time after the committee of adjustment makes a decision do we have to overturn that?
I'll go to the Director of Planning, Ms. Doosley.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good discussion on parking. And I do want to begin my comments by saying that typically when a municipality has a tool like cash in lieu of parking, a bylaw, it can actually be to the benefit of the comments that we've heard today, because if the cost is too high for developers, they will initiate more parking. So it can actually go the opposite of the conversation that we've kind of talked about today. Same is true to be in terms of cash in lieu of parkland. We want to take a look at that bylaw and make sure we know that we have a need for parkland, and we want to make sure that our numbers are correct. Historically, council has been allowed to overturn a decision of committee of adjustment. Lots has changed in the planning world, so I want to get back to you and confirm that council can still overturn a committee of adjustments decision. So I will get back to council on that. And typically, if you still can, it is 20 days. That is the appeal time. Planning staff have put mechanisms in place since the last decision that you have talked about, where we bring information to council on parking reductions so that you are aware if committee of adjustment is making decisions on parking reductions. Since that decision that you have been talking about, we have not had a reduction in committee of adjustment. So that's why you've not seen that, but we have mechanisms in place to bring that forward today. I hope that adds some clarity.
So my concern is, just even in these reports, we've got committee of adjustment minutes for April. So that's a concern that we're not getting it within that 20 days. The other concern I have is in the summertime, we had a meeting at the beginning of July, and we have a meeting at the beginning of August, and there's 30 days, so that's more than 20 days before we have a council meeting. So I just want to be really, really cautious on how this gets handled in the future.
Okay, yep, thank you, Councillor. I'm sure that Planning Department, of course, is aware of any decisions made by the Committee of Adjustment, and I'm sure that would a decision that got made in between council meetings would be fast forwarded to the CAO. Am I correct on that?
Through you, the mayor, yes, we have been organizing timelines appropriately.
Okay, thank you. But I understand your concerns. Yes. Any other comments on this particular subject? Okay, I have not seen any. There are other items in the consent agenda. Go ahead, Councilor Nesnick.
Thank you. So this is with regards to 11.2.4, community services. Just, I guess, a question for Ms. Leach regarding the gym rentals. So it said that there was a sharp decline in the use of rentals by private citizens, and also the user group gym rentals has also decreased. So just wondering if you can think of a cause for the private gym rentals, whether it's a cost prohibitive or whether it's just lack of communication, that it's not getting out to the public that those gym rentals are available for folks, or if you've thought of a plan maybe to address that, to bring that back up to snuff.
To Ms. Leach, please.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I understand that it is not related to cost. There is a portion that is related to the time of year, the weather. The room is also being used for other purposes. It is something that we are looking into. As you noted, it is a sharp decline, so it is a cause for concern going forward, but we will be looking into that a little bit more in detail.
To the councillor.
So good to know, I guess, is something that you'll address moving forward. I know you're new in the role, so we'll give you a chance to maybe see if that can improve in Q3. It probably is due to the summer time, but it would be a great advocate if we could publicize that for parties, et cetera, birthday parties and other sorts of active gym rentals, even coaching possibilities through private coaching opportunities would be maybe another thing. So I'll leave that in your talented hands. Thank you very much. And then I have one more.
Oh, go ahead.
Just a public works, 11.2.6. Thank you. It's really just a comment to thank Public Works. They are busy. It's a very busy department, as you can see from the report. So I just want to compliment folks or your tree pruning and tree inspection folks for addressing some of our concerns over some of the unsafe trees that we brought to your attention, and those were addressed. So I thank you. I understand that that is an ongoing issue, and you are addressing the most significant safety risk tree pruning possible. So just continue that great work. As well, I just want to compliment the town looks beautiful with regards to all the watering and the flowers being watered and well taken care of. I was up at the cemetery the other day. I love the pots at the entrance. Thank you very much for doing that this year once again and keeping those watered and beautiful. Also, just it's good to hear about our Quaker Road reconstruction. Hopefully that will be finished 2026, early fall at the latest. Please, thank you. And so we're looking forward to, we are having lots of construction happen in the next 2 to 4 years. So our town is going to be in great shape in the next near future. So thank you to Public Works for that.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Nesnick. Any councillor have any other comments on either the questions raised by Councilor Nesnick or any consent agenda item? I'll go to Councilor Hildebrand, and then I'll go to Councilor Kerr.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you to the fire chief for just showing up because he's prepped for the question I'm going to ask. I thought he left because he knew a question was coming.
He faces all questions courageously.
That's right. He only reported on phase 1 of the fire hall construction being completed by October. He didn't tell us anything about phase 2, which is the office part of the building. So possibly he can update us on that. That was Public Works Report 11.2.6, Fire Hall.
Through Mr. Mayor, well, we had a site meeting yesterday. We do actually every 2 weeks on Tuesday morning. We meet with the general and all the parties involved and get an update. Yesterday, we went through the schedule. As of today, the phase one is poured and backfilled, and the mechanical contractors are in there starting to do the infrastructure in the floor, which is a good sign. They are speculating now that moving the trucks or operations into the new bays will be more towards the end of this year. Not originally, we reported maybe October, November. There is a few delays, but there is also discussion of what degree we want phase one to be done in order to move the trucks in and not create more work for them. So they're going to make sure that there are a few more things done. So that's kind of delayed a little bit, but it's all right. We'll have the trucks moved into the new section by the end of the year, and then they have demolition scheduled for January for the bays, the old bays, and then they'll start construction on the office side then. So we anticipate that they will still be on schedule. They'll pick up some time.
Councillor?
So what did they expect the completion of the fire hall date to be?
In November, December of '27.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Chief. The last thing we need is a beam to be dropped on a fire truck. So let's hope we have those buildings complete before we start putting trucks in there. Thanks. Councillor Kerr, I believe you had a topic.
Thank you. It's point 11.5.1, which is the community safety survey by the regional police. I don't know whether other members of council have had the opportunity to click on the link and take the survey, because I guess I'm going to critique it as a person who had to spend hours and hours in a supervisor's office developing a survey for my PhD dissertation. And I guess my only concern was that the survey is nice, but it's pretty soft. At no point in the survey do they actually explain what they mean by the word safety. And I can guarantee if we walk down the streets of Pelham and ask 10 people, we'll get 10 different perceptions of safety, whether it could be traffic, it could be pedestrian, it could be physical safety, a large number of things. It was not addressed in that particular survey. So I encourage people to take it, but I also looking in the fact that the Niagara Regional Police takes a massive budget from our municipality and all others, and at the regional level, that they might have been able to do a slightly better job, I guess, looking at the issues of community safety. Because I know within the town of Pelham, we all hear quite frequently about the very limited coverage by the number of staff of the Niagara Regional Police on a daily basis, thinking how large our community is in terms of geography and a number of the issues. So I'm supportive of the survey being taken. I had hoped it would be a little bit more organized and put in a slightly better wording to get the results, maybe what they're looking for. But I do look forward to seeing it, and I encourage everyone to click on the site, read through it, and come to their own conclusions about the overall state of that particular survey.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other questions or comments on any of the items? Not seeing any, I will comment on 13.22, the sacred fire policy. I think that policy walks a very fine line, a great line, to be honest, with between safety and at the same time making it accessible when anyone wants to use whatever location we do indeed decide to do. It's either a phone call or an email or whatever, and it looks like it's going to be free of charge. And of course, the safety thing is that if you're going to use the service, you have to have someone always in attendance of the fire, and that's just common sense. So I'm looking forward to the report that's coming soon, Mr. CIO, about location.
Yes. Not sure if we should be entirely on this item just yet.
Yes.
That's one of the
Oh.
staff reports requiring action.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep.
Perhaps we might
No.
might do a motion to move past the
Yes.
consent agenda.
Yes, indeed. I thought, yep, my mistake. I will turn back to the clerk. Madam Clerk?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we can certainly come back to the consent agenda after staff reports. If that is the will of council, we can do that by unanimous consent, if that's what council wishes to do.
Well, that's fine.
Okay,
What's next?
just scrolling down to see, Mr. Mayor, just one moment.
So we just need a motion for the consent agenda.
Oh,
There's no
yes.
further discussion on
Yes.
the consent agenda.
Did we not? I thought we already did that motion, but perhaps not. Madam Clerk?
Sorry, I'm understanding that the CAO is suggesting perhaps we should go to the staff reports requiring information prior to approving the consent agenda.
No, I think we just need a motion so we can get on to it.
Oh, so sorry. Yes, if council is then ready, then if there's no other discussions on this, we can approve this.
Okay. Any further discussion or comments? Not seeing any, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And I see none opposed. Motion carries. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're now on our staff reports requiring action. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Kerr, seconded by Councillor Niznik. Be it resolved that council receive report 2026-0133, proposed 2027 schedule for information, and that the 2027 council meeting schedule as appended to this report be approved. To you, Mr. Mayor, for discussion.
Okay, thank you. I must say, when I see, when you see all the meetings laid out like that, it does seem strange that all the town, all the business of the town and all the ones that we discuss, there it is, right, laid out like that. It doesn't seem to be that many meetings considering what we decide happens in this town, right? 24/7 corporation and what have you.
You are very efficient.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing I will point out, I see there's nothing on Valentine's Day this year, so that's nice to see. Any other counselor have any comments on the schedule put forward? Councilor Kerr.
Just as a point, in our last session when we first initiated, when I was first brought into council, our meeting dates were set and then they were adjusted in, I believe it was in January or February of the following year. So I think that it's important for everyone to recognize that those dates can be modified for 2027 through a unanimous situation, or maybe not unanimous, but at the council level for those that are watching. I know that was a concern about the particular timing of our meetings as they stand now, but in the future, those dates are open for review. So I think it's important to be aware of that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. And indeed, as you pointed out, they are. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Not seeing any. Call the vote. All those in favor? I see nothing, no one objecting. Motion is carried.
Through Mr. Mayor, thank you. We have a motion put forth by Councillor Wink, seconded by Councillor Bernarski. Be it resolved that council receive report 2025-0211, Sacred Fire Policy S500-09 for information, and that council adopt the Sacred Fire Policy S500-09 as appended. To you, Mr. Mayor, for discussion.
Okay, great. So now I'll just reiterate the comments that I made, that I thought the report was very balanced between need arising perhaps sometimes on a expedited case by case event, and also by making sure it was the site would be used in a safe and appropriate manner. So I just want to extend my thanks to staff for finding the balance there, and look forward to the other report on the sites. When will that report be brought to us, Mr. CAO? Any in the near future or in the distant future? Nothing specific.
I'm sure that will be the subject of closed meeting privilege, and will probably be discussed in very due course.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any other comments on this particular item? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion carries. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, thank you. I have a motion being put forth by Councillor Eckhart, seconded by Councillor Kerr, that council resolve into a closed session meeting to consider the following matters. 1, closed session report 2026-0168, potential municipal contracted services, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, as per section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act 2001. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose as per section 239(2)F of the Municipal Act 2001. A trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relation information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competition position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, groups of persons, or organization as per section 239(2)I of the Municipal Act 2001. 2, report 2026-0175 litigation update related to a planning matter. Personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees as per section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act 2001. Litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board as per section 239(2)E of the Municipal Act 2001. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, section 239(2)F of the Municipal Act 2001. 3, report number 2026-0158, potential acquisition of land for municipal purposes. A proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board as per section 239(2)C of the Municipal Act 2001. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, section 239(2)F of the Municipal Act. 4, report number 2026-0162, enforcement update relating to planning matters. Litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board as per section 239(2)E of the Municipal Act 2001. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, section 239(2)F of the Municipal Act 2001. 5, report number 2026-0173, board, local board/commission. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, section 239(2)F of the Municipal Act 2001. A trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relation information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if desired, could be reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competition position or inference significantly with the contractual or other negotiation of a person, persons, groups of persons, or organization as per section 239(2)I of the Municipal Act 2001. 6, report number 2026-0169, board, local board commission. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, section 239(2)F of Municipal Act 2001. A trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relation information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competition position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of people, or organization as per section 239(2)I of the Municipal Act 2001. 7, report number 2026-0117, non-union staff, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees as per section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act, and labor relations or employee negotiations as per section 239(2)D of the Municipal Act 2001. To you, Mr. Mayor, for discussion.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Yeah. What are we discussing now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Deputy Mayor Eckert?
John beat me to it. I was going to say paragraph 2, line 2. Can you repeat everything after
Yes,
that?
yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So we'll have the vote to go on camera, and then we will have a break, a 10-minute break. Without seeing any further questions, I'll call the vote to go on camera. All those in favor? I see none opposed. We will prepare to go on camera, and while we're doing so, we will have a 10-minute break. Thank you.